Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about elements. We have 118 elements on our periodic table, while they all have their own similarities and differences. Today I'm going to have a closer look about elements, or talking about some of the main elements on our periodic table. My first fact is about the periodic table. Our periodic table was invented by Dmitry Mendeleev, and he was a Russian chemist. At that time, there was about 60 known elements, which was like half of our periodic table. This Russian chemist, or our inventor, Dmitry Mendeleev, he left different spaces in order to think about if there was any other elements that could go into the periodic table. As you know, here is a picture of our periodic table. They're all split into the sections. For example, our transition metals, post-transition metals, our gases. All of these are in different sections because each group is very similar to one another. Each element also has 3 types of subatomic particles. This is proton, electron, and neutron. These all have their own type of electric charge. A proton has a positive electric charge. An electron has a negative electric charge, while a neutron has no charge. The first 5 known elements are hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, and boron. Let's move into some of the most common or known elements. My first one is hydrogen. This is hydrogen on the periodic table, but an element or a tile on the periodic table has its own parts on it. Right here, the atomic number right in the corner is 1. This means there is one proton orbiting the nucleus or the nuclei in the middle of the atom or in the middle of the element. So that is how many protons there are. And then, as you know, this is the symbol H, or the name is hydrogen, and then the atomic mass is shown somewhere on the element, and right here it is shown very little next to the name. The atomic mass is approximately 1.008 units. Hydrogen is also used in many different ways, while it means water forming because hydrogen is usually found underwater. As I said, each element has at least one proton, one electron, and one neutron, but hydrogen is the most simplest element on our Earth. Right here it says hydrogen only has one electron and one proton. This means there's no neutron, so there's only the positive and negative electric charge. Here's a picture of metallic hydrogen. It looks basically like beads in the picture in its metallic form. Next up, we have carbon. Carbon, as you know, is used in many different forms too. While this is it on the periodic table, the atomic number, or how many protons it has, is 6. While the symbol is C, the atomic weight is 12.0011. This is only approximately, it's not like very exact, but some elements on the periodic table also show how many electrons there are per shell, not only protons, while this one says 2 to 4 electrons orbiting the shell of the carbon element. Now let's explain some of the parts that carbon uses. Carbon is sometimes used inside of diamonds, so it might be inside of a ring or just normal diamond of jewelry. It is also a form of CO2 on our Earth, while this is a picture of carbon as rock. We also have our CO2 process, which includes carbon dioxide inside of the air. This is how the plants first absorb carbon dioxide, and while all that process is happening, animals can produce waste. They might die and go underground, but also animals can produce energy. For example, a cow's farts produce energy, but energy means combustion of fuels. Combustion is basically the burning of fuels, which can also produce gas or energy, and the process goes over and over again as the carbon dioxide or CO2 process. Now we can talk about nitrogen. Nitrogen is also a very common element on our periodic table. It is also one of the most known elements. Here is a picture of nitrogen on the periodic table. While the atomic number is 7, it has 7 protons on the It has 7 protons orbiting the nucleus, while the symbol is N, and the atomic mass is approximately 14.007 units. Nitrogen is colorless, odorless, and also tasteless. So it's basically a gas. It's around the non-metal section of our periodic table groups. Right here, it takes up 78% of our air. So in our air, it includes like oxygen or different gases for us to breathe, while it takes up 78% of it. And even though nitrogen is a gas, it can turn into liquid at 196 degrees Celsius. Here are some pictures of liquid nitrogen. It basically looks like a gas, but like kind of liquid inside of a cup. And then lastly, our fourth main element is oxygen. Oxygen is the gas or the element which we breathe in to help us live. So it goes through our lungs and out. As like nitrogen, it is colorless, odorless, and also tasteless like a gas, so it's in the non-metal section. While here is it on the periodic table. The atomic number is 8. The symbol is O, while the atomic mass is approximately 15.999 units. Here is what it can be used in. It takes up 21% of the Earth's atmosphere, like nitrogen takes up 78%. It's 21% of our Earth's atmosphere or inside the air. While it is also part of combustion, in the carbon slide I talked about how combustion needs energy in order to burn the fuels, and oxygen is part of combustion because it's like energy, so it can help burn all the fuels that can produce our gas. And then it is also used inside of the human body. A little fun fact is that oxygen takes up 2/3 of the weight inside of your body. And then now we have some fun facts. I have 3 fun facts to share with you. And my first one is about an element called gallium. Gallium has 31 protons orbiting the shell, but the main point is that it's the only element that can actually melt inside of your hand. Here's a picture of gallium. It doesn't look very melty, but it can actually like melt inside of your hand, not unlike other elements that are sometimes like metals hard as rock or other metals that are gases. And then now let's talk about elements that have names. Right here I have einsteinium. While everyone knows einsteinium is named after Albert Einstein, we also have another element called thorium. Thorium is named after Thor, the god of thunder and war. And then lastly, I have a fact about the 2 elements, bromine and mercury. These are the only 2 elements that can melt directly at room temperature, while other elements might need hotter or colder areas or temperatures to melt. So as you can see, they can become liquid around room temperature. And lastly, of course, I'm going to talk about what I think about the periodic table of elements. I think each of these elements have their own similarities and differences because they are put in their own groups. As you can see, I have shown you the transition metals or the alkali metals. These are all in their own groups on the periodic table, which I think is very organized in how our groups can help us to form our own Earth. Because if we only had one element on our Earth would probably break apart because all of these elements can combine together, including our four main elements: hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon. I also think there might be a 119th element. It is called unanium because it can be 119th even though we have 118th right now. In conclusion, I learned a lot about how our elements work on our Earth because they can form our Earth and how it goes together, since we have our four main elements: oxygen, which we breathe in, or carbon, which is used in many different types of forms. Thank you for listening. I hope you like and subscribe to my channel.